This is day 9 of the Score Video Challenge. I'm actually doing it on the 10th, and I'll tell you why here in just a sec. You're going to see the nerd in me kind of come out right now. The school supply fundraiser that I've talked about a few times and sent out a newsletter and done a few posts on and whatnot. I was working on that yesterday, totally redesigned the way I was tracking everything, and I finished about 6 o'clock this morning, so I didn't get yesterday's video done yesterday. So I am going to show you what I did. All right, there we go. So created a spreadsheet, and so there's school number 1, number of kiddos per school, and this list of school supplies. There's how many kiddos are in each grade, and for each item there's like how many like kindergartners are each supposed to bring 2 packages of baby wipes, or black expo markers. Preschool doesn't, or pre-K doesn't need any, kindergarten needs 4, 8 for the first graders, blah, 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 all the way across. And then total up, if there's like 4, they're supposed to bring 4, there's 100 kids in the class, so that's 400 plus these guys are supposed to bring 8, there's 100 in the class, so there's another 800 all the way. So like there's a grand total of 3,540 expo markers that they need to bring. Same thing with Neiman. The 2 schools together, it's like 1,059 students. So we have that. And then I made a composite page. There's all the school supplies, the total that are needed for each school, the grand total, so that way I can order as efficiently as possible. And then I went and did a whole bunch of research in several different locations: group sales, Amazon, Amazon Business, Sam's Club, Google, Good 360, and I got one thing off of Controlled Printing Group. I worked with them on each one of those, went through all their inventory, every single school supply item, and did my best to find a match. And if I found something close but it wasn't right, then I made myself a note as to why I didn't pick it. So if they have specified they wanted Elmer's brand, but that's not the brand that they carried, I made a note so I would remember that I had checked it and why it wasn't there. Wrote down the item number of the SKU so I could easily find it again. How many are in a case? How much is the price per item? So what's the total cost of the case? How many cases do I need? So this goes back to that grand total number that was over here, based on how many are in a case. So how many cases do I need? And what's the grand total of that cost? How many pieces is that total? So if there's 23 cases, there's 48 in a case. That gave me 1,104, which gives me 40 more than what is needed based on that other page. And then this total column of costs copied over here. Did the same thing with Amazon Smile, with Amazon Business, with Sam's Club, with Good 360. This one I had to do a little bit different because there's a limit to how much a nonprofit can do in a year, and it's based on our Form 990 easy tax reporting and a few other things. So I couldn't put everything in here because that took me over my $12,000 limit. So I kind of pared it down, and I only put in here the items that were less expensive than the others so that I could make sure that I stayed under that minimum. So this is the column that actually copies over. Control Printing Group, they are an awesome, I just started working with them. They are an awesome organization, and they do a lot of promotional stuff. They'll print your flyers and all kinds of things. And they actually work with me to go directly to the vendor and buy some plain white t-shirts. And there was no printing or anything needed on it. And it happened to be, when I asked them, it was like 2 days before a sale went off. And with that and a nonprofit discount, I ended up saving about $200. So that was really cool. Then the last thing here is I went through and I did what's called conditional formatting. If you've never done that, it's this little guy right here. And I did top bottom rules, bottom 10 items, and then I changed the number 10 to a 1. And it applies to each row. And what it does is I had it automatically highlight whichever one was the lowest amount. And that made it really easy for me to figure out which of those locations had the best price. And also over here in the low, in this column, I had it copy over, and I used a formula to figure out which one was the minimum number along there, along that particular line, and copy it over there, which allowed me to figure out what my overall price is. Yes, 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 the nerd in me is showing, I'm sorry. But that's really cool. And this conditional highlighting, and also every time I go change something, or if I realized I messed something up and I go fix it, then all of this would just automatically update. So it's not like I'm doing pivot tables or anything, but this made it so much easier. And yes, if you didn't already know, I'm a nerd. So there you go. That's what I was doing for about 14 hours yesterday until 6 a.m. It was after I got my mom back from a doctor's appointment. I worked on it till about 6 o'clock this morning, and that's why I didn't get my video out yesterday. So thanks. How do I unshare? Unshare. Please tell me I'm recording. We're not recording. How do I unshare?